Okay. So, there's Josh. Wow, you're fast, man. Okay. Let's get this going. Find. Let's see the link. Josh, does everything sound okay on your end? Get your link. Mock. Okay. Tweet is going live.
Nice.
Okay. Josh, you can drop the link to the mock whenever you can. Whoa, Niner watching right now. Welcome in, everyone. Josh, do you have the mock draft link to drop in the sleeper chat? If not, I can just grab it. Well, welcome in, everyone. If you are watching this, Garret is with me, and we're just going to hop on in and do a mock draft, answer any questions that anyone has. And let's just start from posting. Oh, I'm echoing. Good to know. Major echo.
Major echo. Am I echoing too?
Is it just me or is it both of us?
Just the two of us.
Okay, both. Okay. I'm dropping the link right here. And now I will figure out why we're echoing. Meet the speaker. Okay, how about now? Echo. Check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I echoing?
That was fast. Everybody's in. Oh, no, we still got a few spots at the end.
Heck yeah. Welcome in, everyone. We're starting to get people joining in left and right. And we are almost at a full... Oh, man, I'm seeing so many people I know. It's great. Okay, so this is going to be a Superflex.
Oh, she's full.
Tight end premium PPR draft. We are all full and ready to go. I'm going to check to see if anyone has any questions.
Oh, Peter, I can't hear you.
Okay, we're good to go. Let's get this going. We're going to have 1 minute per pick. And Garret. Oh, Josh, I cannot start the mock draft. If you can start the mock draft, that would be great. Uh-oh. Garret can't hear me now. Let's see. And now I'm going to be echoing again. I'm assuming. Am I echoing right now, guys?
I can't hear you if that's what you're asking.
Am I
now I can hear you.
Now?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, but I'm echoing right now.
I was trying to do this at the YouTube at the same time as that was throwing it.
Yeah. Am I good to go right now? Man, this is some good live stream. I like it back, of course. So let's see how we do this.
Peter, I could just mute you in here.
Okay.
And then if you just want to send me the link to the YouTube, it'll obviously be a little delayed.
Yep. We might just need to do that right now.
Yeah, so it might be 3 or 4 seconds behind or something like that, but it'll work.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just leave long dramatic pauses after all statements.
Actually, Garrett, if you just go to our YouTube channel, I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay. So you shouldn't be able to hear the echo right now. Apologies if you can. Are we good? We're good to go, guys? Okay. I'll say that we're good to go.
I can still hear you on. Is it still echoing?
This is first stream technicalities. So
all right, so maybe mute and do whatever you did before,
now
Peter.
I need to turn on. Casey, we were doing a startup. So yes, rookies are included. Garrett, can you hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Oh man.
It's just really delayed if we go through the YouTube thing.
Oh man. How do people do this? Mute guess. Okay, can you hear me right now, Garrett? Can you hear me right now?
I can through YouTube.
Okay. Am I echoing right now, chat? Because I think
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we'll do it like this. How is it good enough, Garrett? How are we doing?
Long dramatic pauses after all comments is what we'll have to do.
Okay. We'll just have to be super thoughtful about our answers and stuff. So let's just start the draft. Have some fun. It's going to be a little bit echoey, but Josh, let's start the draft. Competitive Edge asks, is this 12-team Superflex tight end full PPR? Yes, it is. Check. Okay, I'm currently waiting on Josh to start, and then we should be good to go. I kind of assumed that I would be able to start, but this is why I appreciate your guys' patience with us. I'm kind of excited too, cousin Vito. Okay, Mahomes goes first. What do you think?
I was kind of hoping he would go second, honestly, so I could get him.
My favorite right now is just that about 3 seconds of like, hopefully my audio works and Garrett can hear me. I'm trying to read your face. Okay, so.
Well, man, and then the tricky part is too, then I hear myself talking over myself.
Okay, I'm going to do Herbert.
This is going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, this is going to be what you call first time live streaming. But we're going to roll with it. Everyone's going to have fun.
Peter, you're the host. I'm going to let you do most of the talking.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you like directly address me, and then I will speak.
Okay, Garrett. What do you think about this starting, let's say, 5 picks, Garrett?
All right, first 5 picks, pretty chalk. Nothing too surprising. Yeah, I mean, and I think we've done enough of these, and there's been a lot of people that have been in the group with us when we've done it. So, yeah, we've kind of almost built our own consensus.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Lamar Jackson has fallen. I usually see him being drafted around 1-6, 1-7, 1-8. So I'll be interested to see where he goes. If he goes right here, 1-9. Let's see. Yep, there it is. Fields at 10. Hey, anyone have any draft trade questions that they want to ask? I am always up for something to talk about, especially on the live stream. Garrett. So CeeDee Lamb how close is he to the top tier wide receiver of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson?
I think there's a pretty big gap where I feel comfortable taking Jefferson and Chase, and then that next tier of CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, like those types of guys. Yeah. So I think there's a decent sized tier between those players.
Okay. Is he still your first non-quarterback off the board after Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson?
I have Brown ahead of Lamb, but they're
okay,
like razor thin close.
Okay, that's great. So Alex M. Long asks, where do you feel the startup running back 1 tier break is? Feels like after Lamar and maybe Fields is where you might want to move back. Round 1 tier break. Currently, I've really noticed around 1-8. That's where, like, not in this draft with Lamar Jackson going 1-9, but I found that most of the good quarterbacks, in my opinion, the tier break happens after Trevor Lawrence, which usually goes after Lamar Jackson. So around that 1-8, 1-9. And then there's that tier break of Fields, A.J. Brown, Watson, and Murray that I just don't feel very comfortable about. What do you think, Garrett?
I think there's multiple tiers there. I think right after Herbert, Hurts, like those guys, I think there's a tier. And then there's the top receivers and Lamar and Lawrence and Fields, and then another tier. So I would just separate those tiers personally.
Okay. So, like, let's see. So there was a second question. Feels like after Lamar and maybe Fields is where you want to move back. Yeah, if Lamar, let's say if Lamar and Lawrence are off the board, I am looking at moving back. I'm not really that interested at Fields at 110. If I need a quarterback, I'm fine drafting him there, but I'm not ecstatic about that. Is Fields in that same tier for you with Lawrence, Garrett?
Yeah, he's in the same tier. I think it's all how risk averse you are, but we saw a lot from Justin Fields last year as far as being a dynamic player with his legs. And in college, he was much more so a passer than a rusher. So I'm not overly worried about it. I think he's going to develop, especially as he gets more weapons and more comfortable in this offense.
I like it. Yeah, the injury worry is kind of makes me a little squeamish, but if he's able to stay healthy, his ceiling is a top 3, top 5 quarterback for sure. So another question, and I'll ask you this, Garrett, is Higgins and 1-6 enough for the 101? Talon Lee asked that.
Ooh, that's a fair trade. I don't know that I don't know if I would make it or not, but I think that's the range. If you want to get up to 1-1, that's the range that you would have to pay. I'll go with the 1-1, actually. The more I think about it, I think Bijan Robinson is worth it. At 1-6, you're now getting into that next tier where you're starting to get the receivers and stuff like that. So yeah. I think I'd be willing to do that.
Okay. Does that change at all if you're competing or rebuilding?
Hold on. Let me make my pick real quick.
Yeah. Hey.
Okay.
Speaking of the devil.
Now I can tell you. What was the question again?
Does that change if you're rebuilding as opposed to competing?
Probably. I'm not looking to take Bijan Robinson as much in a rebuild, not because he's not a valuable piece and he's not a young running back. Like, obviously, those things are true, but I just tend to not want to build around those running back pieces. I'm with Rich and Matt. We're kind of all in agreement on this, where that's one of the last pieces that I want to add on a championship team.
Yeah, I agree. So right here at 3-5, this is my new favorite tight end premium strategy, is going double up on young elite tight ends. So I am going Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews. Ooh. And honestly, that's kind of my new favorite strategy right now. Just they're kind of in their tier of their own.
I don't hate that. I actually thought about taking him instead of T. Higgins, and honestly, I blanked that this was tight end premium, or I would have.
Okay, let's answer some more questions. Let's see. There's a lot of good questions here. Sedated Fork, are you saying when you ask area, are there any young quarterbacks you're staying away from in the top 2 rounds? I'm assuming you're saying in a startup, correct? Not rookie drafts. In that case, are there any young quarterbacks you're staying away from? And so let's just say right now, I personally am staying away from Tua. When I am picking my second quarterback, especially in the top 2 rounds, I love Tua. I love his story. I love the character, but just with his concussions and health, it's just too many question marks for me to draft him as a foundational pick. Do you have any thoughts? Are there any quarterbacks that are going in the top 2 rounds right now, Garrett, that you would stay away from?
Honestly, I probably wouldn't take any of the quarterbacks in this draft after Dak, because I really don't want to miss. If I can get them in the 3rd, I would be open to it, but I really don't want to miss with those first 2 picks. That really sets you back far.
Okay, I like that. Okay. Let's see. Man, we got a lot of questions here. Keep them coming, too. So what are you trying to package to move to the 102? Reigns has the 101, 103, 108, 9, 10, 11, 12, 201, and 203. Well, you could probably use some of those picks to move up if you wanted to. Man. I don't know. I personally might just draft and get all that value. If you wanted to, I would maybe... What do you want to, Rain? So when you say move up, are you wanting to move up from the 103 or the 18? Like, where are you wanting to move up from? Alex Long asks, how do you feel about, and I'm asking you, Garrett, how do you feel about taking the fringe tier 2 to 3 running backs like Javonte, Etienne, and Jacobs area? There we go. Dangerous with draft picks and free agents?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest ETN fan, but he had a good season. Jacobs, there's obviously risk. Javonte, there's risk. Jacobs, I feel, is a little different because he's much older than those other ones. So right here, in the end of the 4th, I would be comfortable taking probably Javonte. I don't know about Josh Jacobs at that point.
Okay.
But Jacobs would be more of a 5th to 6th round guy, which means I'm probably not going to get him. So really the only one that I would be drafting that I would probably get is Javonte. But I'm a bigger Javonte fan than most people are. So that kind of makes sense. But I like to get one of these running backs early, and I tend to go with more of this hero RB strategy where I'll take one running back in the first 3 rounds, and then I'm probably not taking my next one until round 6 plus. Always let the board fall to me. So I'm going to be I'm going to be water with all of that. But that's typically how my drafts end up working out.
Awesome. What a great answer. I'm going to play a quick this or that. Javonte Williams or, and this is, again, pointed at you.
Okay.
Javonte Williams or Najee Harris?
Very close, like both players. I like Najee a lot more than I used to because I think his value has gotten to a point where he actually is more of a value now as opposed to being crazy expensive. I still like Javonte more. I think he's the better player in the better situation, so I'll still take Javonte.
Okay. DeAndre Swift or Javonte Williams?
Javonte Williams for me there as well.
Barkley or Williams?
Oof. I'm gonna go Barkley barely.
Okay. But so you would rather have Williams in the fourth than Barkley in the third, or where are you at with that?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Ryan, your last name I don't quite know how to pronounce, Ryan. So I'm just going to say Ryan asks, is third round reversal or auction drafts becoming the norm for startups? I don't think auction drafts are, although I would say it's a really fun subgenre of fantasy. I have noticed, though, third round reversals becoming more popular in startups. And I honestly really enjoy third round reversals. I think that they add a little bit more balance. Because, I mean, especially in Superflex, getting like a Mahomes or a Josh Allen or Burrow really adds a lot of advantage to people who are picking higher. So I kind of like getting a little bit of advantage to the people who are picking later. Do you prefer third round reversal or just doing it regular way, Garrett?
I've come around on third round reversal. I actually like third round reversal now. I think it out the draft gives those guys that are stuck at the end a little better shot at getting some more of the elite players.
Love that. So currently, I'm trying to see. Let's see. So I picked Mr. Unlimited at 4.8. What do you think about that value? Is that still too high, or where are you at with Russell Wilson's value in Superflex?
I have no problem taking him there. I was in a startup recently, and I already had two quarterbacks, and I took him in the sixth just because he fell too far. So I think this range right here is roughly where I would take him. Probably towards the end of the fourth, beginning of the fifth is where I think I would feel pretty comfortable taking him and actually not just comfortable, probably targeting him, honestly.
Love that. Yeah, same here. I think looking at his ceiling, and even with how up and down he was last season, he still that second half of the season he was a very viable fantasy quarterback. So I look at him versus like a Kirk Cousins or a Kenny Pickett. One quarterback that I would draft above Russell Wilson would be the quarterback that was just drafted. And I say that with the opportunity, I could have drafted him in this draft, but I would have I think, now that I think about it, I would draft Daniel Jones over Russell Wilson. Garrett, would you? Or is Wilson still ahead for you?
I still have Russell Wilson ahead, but it's really, really close. I think I have Wilson perceived as safer. I don't know that that's actually true. But it feels that way with his past experience this season excluded, and then getting Sean Payton in there with his experience with Drew Brees and really revitalizing his career after a so-so start in Los Angeles, or I guess it was San Diego at that point.
Yeah. Okay, Sedated Fork asks, if you're doing Derby and startup, what point do you look? Or you start looking at later picks? What's Sedated Fork? What is doing Derby in startup?
I believe, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's where you actually choose your starting spot. So you're picking from, like, I would rather, say you're the fourth one to get to pick, and you're
Okay.
like, instead of picking 104, I would actually like to pick, 112.
Okay. Do you have a answer to that question? Because I'm still wrapping my head around that concept. Derby means yep.
Yeah. So for me, every year is slightly different. So it's kind of how that year's class looks. So in a startup here, I talked about my tiers. So if I can't get a top 5 pick, especially if it's a third round reversal, but even if not, I'm looking to move towards the back, pick 11 or 12, because I don't know that there's a huge difference in the value of the guys that are going, 6, 7, 8 versus guys that are going 11, 12.
I love that. Okay. Good stuff. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but my office chair, there's something wrong with it, and it slowly lowers down as time goes on. So I just looked and I realized that it was only my face that was showing up in camera. So hope you notice that as I slowly sink down. Okay, Beast Productions asks, I got Deshaun Watson with 5 point. Oh,
That's funny.
At the 502 in Superflex. Thoughts? Great job. that's. I mean, I haven't seen him go. I've done over 30 of these mock drafts, and I haven't seen him go later than the second round. So that's pretty great. Any thoughts, Garrett?
Yeah, that's fantastic value. I mean, yeah, I don't think I've seen him go even in the third yet. So yeah, that's great value.
So I am looking at our draft board right now, and I'm just looking. Dallas Goedert is going to be a tight end that'll be really interesting to see where he goes. His ADP will be as we get closer and closer to like mainstream startup. So Garrett, I've seen a couple times Dallas Goedert going in at around 403 in the 405, 403 range for people who need tight ends, and that's kind of the end of a tier break. Are you willing to draft him there, or is that a little bit too high for you?
That seems a hair high. I almost took him twice. I almost took him where I took Michael Pittman and Gibbs. I would be comfortable about that range, but the early fourth feels like a little bit of a stretch. Last year, as much as I love the Eagles offense, I love Smith, I love Brown, I love Goddard, I love Hurts. It everything was basically best case scenario. It would be tough to improve much upon that. And at that point, you know, how much are you actually reaching to get Goddard? So I'm probably more comfortable later fourth, early fifth than I am early fourth.
Okay. So right now with your tight end situation, you do not have a tight end, and the next highest drafted tight end
Correct.
is Michael Mayer. So what's your strategy right now?
If I don't get one of those top tier guys, I tend to somewhat punt the position, which sounds funny with it being a tight end premium, but there are a lot of guys that I think have a lot of talent late. Guys like Dulcich, Njoku, Cole Kmet, especially if we're using Sleeper's ADP. Mike Gesicki, which I'm giving my secret out, but Mike Gesicki is an incredible value. So I'm willing to kind of just wait and get that position later if I can't capitalize early. I'm not going to like force it and try to like grab a tight end this round just to get it.
Okay. Great. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think for me, Goddard, for the most part, I've noticed that these drafts, Goddard usually goes ahead of Kittle. But after Kittle and Goddard, I'm going full late tight end. And I'm not really interested in even like the Freiermuths. So right now, I am looking for a wide receiver because now, if I'm not going to get an elite running back, I'm just going to wait before I draft more running backs. So I'm going to go with my main dude, Jahan Dotson, right here at 6'8". I personally would take him over any wide receiver in this upcoming rookie class. So I love the value right here.
I don't have any issue with that. I made that comment on the Nerds pod that he would be in that same tier as the top receivers in this class. So I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah. So Mike Hawk asks for, is that one of those? Oh man, did I just get pwned? But anyway, he is drafting in the 11th spot.
I think he got you.
And he wanted to know how his draft's doing. And because of that username, I'm going to say that you did a bad draft. Terrible. Actually, so love CeeDee Lamb at 111. Kyler Murray, I'm kind of worried about his injury. I think, let me ask you this, Garrett. How many games do you think Kyler Murray plays this year?
I would say he's going to be there right around the midseason point.
Yeah. So my worry is by that time, the Cardinals are going to be kind of out of the playoff race, and then they're just going to sit him for even longer. So I'm kind of looking at him with almost expecting him to be out most of the year. So long term, getting him at 202, I mean, that's good value, but if I draft him, I'm approaching it with almost like a rebuilding mindset, or just kind of more focused on young players instead of vets that I could win with right now. Devonta Smith at 4.2, I really like. Anthony Richardson at 6.2. Garrett, what are your thoughts at Richardson at this high? He was taken ahead of Jared Goff, and Carr was just taken by you. So what do you think?
It's a little ballsy. It's one of those high risk, high reward type of plays. And it's all up to your strategy. I mean, some people are much more risk averse. Some people are totally fine with taking as much risk as they can. So it depends on how you like to draft. Me personally, I feel great if I'm getting him as my third quarterback. I'm nervous if I'm getting him as my second quarterback. So I would be within these next 2 to 3 rounds getting another quarterback to make sure that I do have an absolute legitimate second quarterback this year. But you look at his build, he is doing more of a productive struggle. He's taking Kyler, who's injured. He's got young receivers, Freiermuth, who's not proven yet but has a lot of upside. So it fits his overall draft strategy, so I don't hate it.
Yeah, so Mike Hawk says that he is punting the first season with the team. So that makes a lot of sense there. Richardson, just a lot of young pieces. I'm assuming if you could, you'd probably be trading back as well. KCG asks, so he's drafting at the turn. Would you want Kyler, AJ Brown, Dak, or the rookie 102? Garrett, what do you think?
For me, it would pretty easily be Dak. I think he's one of the most undervalued assets in Superflex leagues right now, so that's who I'd be taking.
Yeah, same here. I'm not interested in the 102 because to me, 102 is either going to be Stroud or Young. And I don't quite value... Oh, I'm hearing the clock noise. Okay, that's not me. But I don't quite value them there yet. Honestly, I'm not wanting to take them in the second round. So now it's between AJ Brown, Kyler, and Dak for me. But yeah, I agree. Dak is very underrated right now, but he's still going to put up fantasy points. He might throw a couple or a lot interceptions. He's kind of the quarterback. I mean, 2 years ago when it was like, oh, he's on pace to put up 55,000 passing yards. This year he was on pace to put up 60 interceptions. He's just kind of streaky like that. But he was still putting up fantasy points, and that's what matters.
It can be, that's true.
Where are you at with Kayshon Boutte right now? He just went at 7-10. So
that's another risk play. When you look at talent, we were talking about somebody that was considered the top wide receiver in the class before the season started. So right now, if you can get him, I mean, we're talking about some really, really good traits and abilities, but there's so much risk with him too. He underperformed, especially his last year at LSU. There's some off the field question marks. So it's a lot of risk, but at this point in the draft, I'm fine with taking more risks.
What pick are you fine with taking more and more risks? Like, you want to hit, but then when are you going to start swinging the bat more?
Yeah, around the 5th round is where I'm willing to start taking some more risks. So, good example, I just took Derek Carr. We don't actually know where he's going to land. So, that's a chance I'm taking. But all of the teams that are rumored are, positive locations. And on top of that, we have a good track record for what he's done in his career. So I'm willing to take that risk here at this point with a solid veteran quarterback. But there's absolutely risk here. So, but I'm looking for ceiling, and I think he's got a good ceiling. And you'll see it in most of my drafts. Early on, I don't take tons of risk usually, but I take a lot more risks as the draft go on.
Awesome. So let's see. George Ross asks how he's doing at the 12th pick. And let's see. He has drafted A.J. Brown, Watson, Chris Olave, Drake London, Will Levis, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, and Tony Pollard. I think overall this looks really good. Obviously, you got to love all those young wide receivers. Quick side note, though. Garrett, who do you have higher ranked? Calvin Ridley or Christian Kirk? They went back-to-back here.
I have Calvin Ridley ranked higher. I think they brought him in for a reason. He's going to be their number one receiver. Kirk had a good season. It was a good story, but I don't necessarily believe he's going to be the top guy next year.
Okay. But overall, you are building fantasy teams, George, like I like to, is just a bunch of young players who have already proven a lot. Levis is the only rookie that you're drafting right now. But even London, he's had games that he showed his elite upside. So I really like your draft. And at the 12th spot, it's a hard place to draft sometimes. So I think you're doing really good. And I am on the clock. Let's see. So I only have one running back. And I will continue to have one running back. Let's see what we have. We have Hopkins. I am going to start swinging for the fences with Zay Flowers. The short king is super fast, super shifty, and I think he's kind of Kadarius Toney without the baggage, maybe. What are your thoughts on Zay Flowers, Garrett?
Yeah, Zay Flowers he's fun to watch. I'm excited to really do my deep dive into him. But we are looking at a really elusive prospect. a guy that can get open. All reports were he was just like head and shoulders above everybody at the Shrine Bowl, which he should be. He should have gone to the Senior Bowl. I know there was some stuff behind the scenes with that, but yeah, I don't mind that pick at all.
Yep. Josh asks, and apparently Josh cannot comment on the live stream right now, even though he's a moderator. So that's interesting. So Josh asks, would you pick Hurts or Lamar? I would
Weird.
go Hurts. Pretty easily. Would you go? Is it close for you, Garrett, or are you going Hurts as well? Ooh, Cole Kmet, you're.
I'm going Hurts. I don't think it's too close for me. Just partly because we know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Hey, that's did you mention Cole Kmet at all when you were talking about late round tight ends, or were you kind of being sneaky?
No, I did mention him. I threw him in there in like a mix of like 4 or 5 guys. And to be honest, this is probably higher than I would normally take him. Here, I would probably be trying to trade back. I do not like a lot of the players in this range. It's kind of gross to me right now. So I would probably be actively looking to trade back.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to look at wide receivers in the range of. You have vets still like Mike Evans or Hopkins, but if you want to go young wide receivers right now, you're looking at Tony and Gabe Davis and Mike Williams, but Mike Williams is not even that young anymore. So yeah, it's just kind of a awkward area. Where I'm going to be going. Oh man, I was about to say I was going to draft Joe Mixon right there. But at the 9-5, this is another swinging for the fence move. I am going to go with Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco. How do you pronounce that, Garrett? Pacheco. Right here at 9-5, I am more than okay with taking a chance at a young running back on an explosive offense. And let's see just what happens. I look around, like Tony just went right after me. And they kind of have, they're kind of both the same player, and they play for the same teams. They're just kind of boomer bust. There could be a running back drafted. If Zach Evans ends up on the Chiefs, or if they sign a free agent, you never know what's going to happen for the Chiefs. At 9-5, what do you think of his value there, Garrett?
I don't hate the value because there is definitely a chance for him to be the main guy, but I think that there's risk there, and so I'm fine with taking the risk, but I would rather have a running back that I'm sure is going to have the job, or a job, I should say, at least.
That makes sense. Would you have picked like a Sean Tucker or Zach Evans right here? I know that you don't have Zach Evans ranked pretty high, very high, so probably not Evans.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Zach Evans guy. I would be willing to take Tucker, A-Chain, Evans, like Bigsby. I would be fine with any of those guys, but it's the similar type of risk that you're running with Pacheco. The better part about those guys is I assume that they're going to get better draft capital than Pacheco's going to. Obviously, he already got.
Yep. Okay, so Patrick is picking at 4, and he wants to know what we think. He's got Hurts, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Daniel Jones, Brendan Ayuk, Nick Chubb, Michael Mayer, and Joe Mixon. He sniped me, Mixon, right there. Garrett Wilson at 209, Garrett. Is that too high, or is that where you would draft him too?
It's funny because he would definitely be the next receiver off the board. I just don't know if I would take some other positions maybe ahead of him at that point. But yeah, I mean, he's right at that wide receiver 5, 6, 7, 8 range. He's right in there. You're taking on risk, and that's the hardest part for me taking him there. But
Yeah.
his ceiling, I mean, is as crazy as it sounds, his ceiling is Justin Jefferson. Like, he could be that kind of player.
I love that. Would you prefer Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr landing on the Jets? I guess Aaron Rodgers is a better player, but
I guess for Garrett Wilson's sake, it'd be slightly better for Rodgers, but I'm fine with either one.
Okay, this is the last round, so everyone get in your trade questions if you have any, or just any other questions. Overall, I would say that my favorite pick, one of my favorite upside picks right now is Jordan Love at 907. Garrett, what did you think about Jordan Love as a prospect when he was a rookie so long ago? But what do you think about if Rodgers leaves? What's his outlook on the Packers?
We're looking at a fantastic athlete with a solid arm. He kind of reminded me of a little bit of Colin Kaepernick back in the day. I don't know that he's quite the athlete that Kaepernick was, but that's the type of player that I kind of thought of when I watched him.
I love that. Do you think that if Jordan Love's the starting quarterback, where do you think Christian Watson's future outlook is?
That's a great question. I definitely think it falls. You know, going from Aaron Rodgers to anyone else is a downgrade. So I would say that it falls, but I still think he's going to continue to be this boom bust guy that you're not thrilled with if he's your wide receiver 2, but you feel really good about if he's your wide receiver 3 on your fantasy team.
Love that. So this will be the last question for you, Garrett. I know that you need to run. So Sedated Fork traded DeAndre Swift plus the 111 for Barkley. Love it, hate it, or meh?
I'm gonna go meh. It depends on the situation. If I'm a legit contender, then I would not say love it, but I would say like it. If it's more of a middle of the road rebuild, I would rather just hold Swift and 111.
Great. Awesome. So as this time is coming to a close, I just want to thank you all for being a part of this. This was really fun. Next time, I want to be doing more of these. Next time, hopefully, me and the guest will be able to actually have a conversation instead of writing each other letters. But thank you for being patient with us, and thank you for just being a part of this. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun to be on here, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, hopefully we can figure out the delays so it's not quite as painful. And hopefully it wasn't too painful to watch on the viewers end, but we'll get the kinks worked out.
Awesome. Okay, that's going to be it for today. I'll be doing another one of these mocks, and I'll just posting a link on Twitter in like about 15 minutes. So if you want to do another one, stay tuned for that. But okay, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great rest of your day. See ya. Thanks, Garrett, for coming on with me. So this was great.